In the dark of the night, the pirates came creeping and sneaking into town. It was very hard to see anything. They peeped through windows and looked in every corner. They found a bag and they found a box. And they found a little girl called Annie. Then they sailed out to sea. "What treasure have you found?" asked the Pirate King when the pirates returned. He looked in the bag and saw one white feather. He looked in the box and it was empty. Then he looked at Annie. "This is not treasure," he roared. "Throw it overboard." Annie was very frightened when she heard this. She saw the box and feather and quickly thought of a plan. "Why are you throwing this fine treasure away?" Annie asked the Pirate King. "I think you are making a big mistake." "What fine treasure?" bellowed the Pirate King. "This box and this feather are my weapons for fighting sea monsters." "I'm the bravest sea monster fighter on the high seas," said Annie. The Pirate King thought for a moment. Every pirate knew of the giant sea monster that ate pirates and bit ships in half to get their treasure. And every pirate was afraid that the giant sea monster would rise out of the sea and destroy their ship. "Very well, you can stay," the Pirate King grumbled. The pirates sailed on and on. The night grew darker and darker, and the sea became wilder and wilder. Suddenly, from the depths of the sea, a giant sea monster appeared. It was covered in jewels from all of the ships it had bitten in half. The giant sea monster reached over the side of the ship and grabbed the Pirate King in its mouth. "Help! Help!" screamed the Pirate King. Annie grabbed the feather from the bag. She ran up to the sea monster and began to tickle its huge chin. At first, the sea monster was surprised. It began to shake and quiver, and then it opened its mouth and burst out laughing. The Pirate King fell to the deck. Annie kept on tickling the sea monster. It laughed and laughed. It shook so much from laughing that the jewels began to fall out of its mouth. Annie opened the box and ran around the ship, catching the jewels as they fell. As soon as Annie stopped tickling the giant sea monster, it raised its head high above the ship and roared a terrible roar. Then with a gigantic splash, the sea monster threw itself back into the sea and was never seen again. The Pirate King ran over to Annie. "You are the bravest sea monster fighter in the whole wide world," he said. "Why don't you stay on my ship and sail the seas with us?" "No thanks," said Annie. "I want to go home now." So the pirates sailed back to town. They left the box and they left the feather. And they left a little girl called Annie.